Beyond Neptune, in a region of permanent twilight where the sun is just another star, something is moving. Objects with orbits that shouldn't exist. Trajectories that defy our models. And the deeper we look, the stranger it gets. This isn't science fiction. This is what astronomers are finding right now, at the very edge of our solar system. And what they've uncovered in the last 2 years alone might change everything we thought we knew about our place in space. Let's start with what most of us learned in school. The solar system has 8 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, then the asteroid belt, then Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Done. Maybe Pluto gets an honorable mention if your teacher was feeling generous. She'd draw a little dotted circle for the asteroid belt, stick the sun in the middle, and call it a day. A nice, clean diagram that fit on a single classroom poster. The whole solar system, wrapped up in a tidy little package that made perfect sense. But here's the thing nobody told you. That nice, clean diagram is basically a lie. Everything from the sun to Neptune, the entire classical solar system most people picture in their heads, is barely the front porch of a much, much larger house. Neptune orbits about 2.8 billion miles from the sun. That sounds impossibly far, right? But the actual gravitational boundary of our solar system, where the sun's influence finally gives way to interstellar space, a region called the Oort cloud, stretches out to nearly 9 trillion miles. Let that number sink in. What most people think of as the entire solar system accounts for less than 1% of the real thing. The other 99%? It's dark, it's cold. For most of human history, we had absolutely no idea what was out there. And what we're finding now? It's keeping scientists up at night. But before we get to the truly strange discoveries, let's talk about the first surprise waiting beyond Neptune. Just past the orbit of Neptune, starting at about 30 astronomical units from the sun, 1 astronomical unit being the distance from Earth to the sun, roughly 93 million miles, lies the Kuiper Belt. Think of it as a massive ring of icy debris left over from the birth of the solar system, 4.5 billion years ago. It stretches out to about 50 astronomical units, and it is staggeringly enormous. Astronomers estimate there are well over 100,000 objects larger than 60 miles across floating out there. To put that in perspective, for every single asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter, there are roughly 1,000 Kuiper Belt objects of a similar size, spread over a volume of space more than 1,000 times larger. We're talking about a cosmic junkyard that absolutely dwarfs anything closer to home. This is where Pluto lives, along with other frozen worlds like Eris, Makemake, and Haumea, all classified as dwarf planets. Eris, by the way, is roughly the same mass as Pluto and was the very discovery that triggered Pluto's controversial reclassification in 2006. A drama for another day. And in 2019, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flew past a tiny Kuiper Belt object called Arrokoth, about 4 billion miles from Earth. What it found was breathtaking. A pristine, snowman-shaped body that hadn't fundamentally changed in billions of years. An untouched relic from the very dawn of the solar system. A frozen whisper from creation itself. But here's where it gets truly wild. The Kuiper Belt, as massive and strange as it is, it's really just the opening chapter. Because the objects that are genuinely rewriting the textbooks, the ones that nobody can explain, they exist beyond even that. Now pay very close attention, because this is where the story takes a sharp, unsettling turn. In November 2003, astronomers Michael Brown, Chad Trujillo, and David Rabinowitz were scanning the skies from Palomar Observatory near San Diego, California, when they spotted something deeply unexpected. A reddish, icy object, roughly 600 miles across, drifting through the outer darkness far beyond anything they'd mapped before. They named it Sedna, after the Inuit goddess of the sea who lives in the cold, crushing depths of the Arctic Ocean. A fitting name, because Sedna exists in one of the coldest, most desolate places we've ever found in our solar system. But it wasn't Sedna's size that sent shockwaves through the world of astronomy. It was its orbit. At its closest approach to the Sun, what scientists call perihelion, Sedna never comes closer than 76 astronomical units. That's more than twice the distance of Neptune. More than twice. And at its farthest point, Sedna swings out to a staggering 937 astronomical units from the Sun. That is roughly 87 billion miles away. One single trip around the Sun takes Sedna approximately 11,400 years. Let that register for a moment. The last time Sedna was at this exact point in its orbit, human beings were just beginning to figure out agriculture. The Egyptian pyramids wouldn't be built for another 7,000 years. Here's the real kicker. Nothing, absolutely nothing, in our current understanding of the solar system explains how Sedna ended up where it is. Neptune's gravity cannot reach it. None of the other giant planets have any meaningful influence on it. Sedna is completely detached from the rest of the known solar system, drifting on an impossible orbit that, by every model and calculation we have, simply should not exist. Something put Sedna on that path. Something enormous. Something we have not found. That question has haunted planetary scientists for over 20 years. And just when you thought the mystery couldn't get any deeper, it did. In July 2025, an international team of astronomers announced a discovery that sent a fresh jolt through the scientific community. Using the powerful 8.2-meter Subaru telescope on Mauna Kea, Hawaii, as part of a project called FOSSIL, Formation of the Outer Solar System, an Icy Legacy. They found a new object officially designated 2023 KQ-14. They nicknamed it Ammonite, after the ancient spiral-shelled sea creatures preserved in Earth's fossil record. It was first spotted in observations taken across 2023 and confirmed with the Canada-France-Hawaii telescope in July 2024. By meticulously tracing its motion across 19 years of archival telescope data from multiple observatories, astronomers finally pieced together its orbit. And what they found was remarkable. Ammonite is only the fourth sednoid ever discovered in human history. Its perihelion sits at about 66 astronomical units, comfortably beyond Neptune's gravitational reach. Its average orbital distance from the Sun is over 250 astronomical units. Computer simulations demonstrate that Ammonite has been rock-steady on this orbit for 4.5 billion years, the full age of the solar system. And it is estimated to be somewhere between 185 and 435 miles in diameter, likely composed of ice, rock, and organic compounds. But here's the twist that has the whole astronomy community buzzing. The three previously known sednoids, Sedna, 2012 VP113, and Leleakuhonua, all had orbits that appeared to cluster in a remarkably similar orientation in space. That clustering was one of the strongest pieces of evidence for a massive unseen planet gravitationally herding them into alignment. Ammonite? Its orbit points in a completely different direction. It fills what astronomers had called the Q gap, a mysterious, previously unexplained void in the expected distribution of distant solar system objects. And its mere existence complicates the picture rather than solving it. Something is shaping these orbits. But what? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or, more accurately, the invisible giant planet hiding in the dark. In January 2016, Caltech astronomers Konstantin Batygin and Mike Brown, yes, the same Mike Brown who discovered Sedna, proposed something extraordinary. They argued that the bizarre, clustered orbits of extreme trans-Neptunian objects could be explained by a planet no human being has ever laid eyes on. A planet roughly 10 times the mass of Earth, more than 5,000 times the mass of Pluto, orbiting perhaps 20 times farther from the Sun than Neptune, taking somewhere between 10,000 and 20,000 years to make one full trip around our star. They called it Planet 9. The mathematics was compelling. Computer simulations showed a planet of that size, on that kind of orbit, could gravitationally shepherd distant icy bodies into exactly the orbital patterns astronomers had been documenting. Brown himself declared Planet 9 would be the most planety of the planets in the whole solar system because it would gravitationally dominate a region of space larger than any other known planet. If it exists, he said, there'd be absolutely no debate about whether it qualifies as a true planet. Then, in April 2025, the debate erupted again. A team led by astronomer Terry Long Fan of Taiwan's National Tsinghua University dropped a bombshell, potentially the strongest candidate for Planet 9 ever found. By comparing data from two deep infrared sky surveys taken 23 years apart, NASA's IRAS satellite launched in 1983 and Japan's Akari satellite from 2006, they identified a faint object that appeared to have moved between the two datasets. A tiny dot shifting across the sky by about 47 arc-minutes, perfectly consistent with the expected slow crawl of a distant massive planet. If this mystery object truly is Planet 9, it would be more massive than Neptune and currently sitting about 700 astronomical units from the Sun. That is roughly 65 billion miles from our star. Previous surveys have already ruled out anything Jupiter-sized within an enormous range, and anything Saturn-sized out to 10,000 astronomical units. But a Neptune or Uranus-sized world? That could absolutely still be lurking out there, undetected in the frozen void. But hold on. Not everyone is convinced. Skeptics argue the orbital clustering could simply be an observational bias. We naturally discover more objects in the regions of sky we survey most frequently. And Ammonite's wildly different orbital alignment is a serious blow to a tidy Planet 9 explanation. Dr. Yukun Huang of Japan's National Astronomical Observatory stated plainly after the Ammonite discovery, the fact that 2023 KQ-14's current orbit does not align with those of the other three sednoids lowers the likelihood of the Planet 9 hypothesis. But we're about to find out what it is. If this video made you rethink what's lurking out there in the dark, smash that like button and drop a comment. Do you think Planet 9 is real, or is something even stranger going on out there? Share this with someone who loves space mysteries, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Because trust me, what we're about to uncover in the next few years is going to be absolutely wild.